Part 20. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 192. Li Jie, where should I post it? Shen Xin asked. When she was talking, she was chewing something in her little mouth, which was very cute and full of cuteness. Li Jie couldn't help but laugh, took out a tissue and motioned for her to wipe her oily mouth. Let's go to the bulletin board and post it there first, and then go to the dormitory door and post it there. The two came to the bulletin board near the canteen and started putting up posters. Li Jie asked Shen Xinyi to hold the poster while he applied the tape. Posters posted privately may be torn down if someone from the Aviation Academy Student Union discovers them. But that's not necessarily the case. School management is not very strict these days. There was 1 and 2 posters posted on a bulletin board. A girl passing by saw it and walked over curiously. The girl is quite beautiful, about 1.67 centimeters tall, with a cold face, and a pair of long legs that are very eye-catching. She stared at the poster for a while and asked a little doubtfully, "Can you make money by playing games?" "Yes," Li Jie said with a smile. "As long as you play 1 hour a day, our game will give you a subsidy of 300 yuan a month, without any other requirements." The girl nodded, not too interested. "I saw on the poster that as long as you apply for the job, you will have the opportunity to participate in the filming of the promotional video. Is it true?" When Li Jie heard this, he immediately understood that this girl obviously didn't care about the little money as a subsidy for playing games, but rather the opportunity to show her face on camera. Indeed, the 300 yuan subsidy is still somewhat attractive to girls from ordinary families. For girls from well-off families, they may not take this little money seriously. The girl in front of me is dressed in brand name clothes and has a good temperament. She obviously comes from a good family. For her, all she cares about is the opportunity to show her face and become famous. As long as you pass the recruitment and selection process, you can participate in the filming of the promotional video. The number of roles depends on your qualifications and acting skills. Li Jie gave an affirmative answer. The girl listened and became obviously more interested. She nodded, then took another look at the time and place of the recruitment, and left. After Li Jie and Shen Xin posted the bulletin board, they went to the door of the dormitory to post it, but they only posted it at the door of the girls' dormitory, not the boys' dormitory. He didn't recruit boys. During this period, 6 or 7 more interested girls inquired. Li Jie found that most girls are still more interested in participating in promotional video shoots and appearing on camera. This made him think, maybe he could invest some money and make a short commercial for Dunton Hall. In 2007, online dramas and micromovies were still in their infancy, and they were still a very new thing. The beginning was Murder Case Caused by a Steamed Bun, a short film clip that caused a stir on the internet. Since then, more and more amateurs who like to shoot videos will use DV to shoot some funny and spoof jokes. Post it online. Later, some students from the directing department also joined in, accepted advertisements, raised money, and began to shoot some short plays that only lasted 10 minutes and 10 or 20 episodes. But it was the 10-year-old old boy that really sparked the craze for micromovies. But even after 10 years, more and more companies are producing online dramas and micromovies, but web dramas and micromovies are still not taken seriously and are in a non-mainstream status. Professional talents and stars in the film and television industry will not know how to do it. Shooting online dramas and micromovies feels like it loses my identity and is too cheap. It was not until the rise of video platforms and homemade dramas began to mature that online dramas and micromovies truly entered the mainstream circle. Li Jie is tempted to make a web series to promote Dunton Hall. The main reason is that the cost of shooting online dramas is now extremely low. You only need to recruit a few amateur actors from students, buy a handheld DV, and then find a random student to be the director in the directing department of a second or third-rate art school, and you can start filming. In this way, 50,000 to 60,000 yuan is enough to shoot a low-cost online drama that lasts for more than 10 minutes and has about 20 episodes. To Li Jie, 50,000 to 60,000 yuan was just the money to set off a fireworks display. The more Li Jie thought about it, the more he thought this idea was okay. For him, the most important thing right now is to promote Dandan Tang. Only when the game becomes popular and the game company succeeds can he have enough capital flow to expand his business and develop rapidly. Therefore, as long as it is conducive to publicizing and promoting Dandan Tang, we must do it. After putting up the posters, Li Jie and Shen Xian left the Hangyuan. On the way back, Shen Xinyi said in a questioning tone, "Can I be a game promoter and promoter?" Li Jie glanced at her with a smile. "Of course, if you are willing to do it, I will admit you now, but 300 yuan is not much. Are you really willing to do it?" "Yeah," Shen Xian smiled and nodded. 300 yuan is a lot of money. You can buy it? A lot of delicious food, Li Jie said with her at the same time with a smile. But what Shen Xinyi said was, 2 or 3 pieces of clothing. After saying that, she smiled helplessly. "Li Jie, can you please stop treating me like a foodie? I am also a little girl, and I also want to buy more beautiful clothes and cosmetics to dress up more beautifully." Li Jie was stunned for a moment and nodded. "Sorry, I shouldn't always look at you with my fixed eyes." The first time he met Shen Xinyi, the impression on him was so deep that he subconsciously thought that she was the kind of girl who was very well behaved, very simple, a foodie, and thought very simply and rarely. In fact, her character is very gentle and nice, but she is not as obedient as she looks on the outside. She is a girl who is more independent and thoughtful. Li Jie was not completely unaware of this. It was just Shen Xian's simple and well-behaved appearance that made him ignore this point. Shen Xian thought for a while and then explained, "Li Jie, I don't mean to blame you. I just want to say that I quite like eating, but I am not just a foodie." "Okay, don't explain," Li Jie smiled. "You are a foodie with ideas, right?" Shen Xinyi. "I'm really not a foodie." Back at Xiaonanmen, Li Jie saw a fruit stall selling mangoes, so he bought some. When he handed the mango to Shen Xinyi, she did not take it. "I don't want it," she said a little awkwardly. "I won't call you a snack shop from now on." Li Jie smiled and stuffed the mango into her arms. Shen Xian glanced at Li Jie and reached out to catch the mango. "That's what you said, then don't bark anymore," she said with a smile, with a hint of coquettishness in her tone. "I'm not allowed to call you anything again." Shen Xinyi. Li Jie. "Okay, I won't tease you anymore." Li Jie became serious and stopped joking. "I'll send you here. We'll wait until the 22nd and see you during the interview." Although he opened the back door and admitted Bai Wei and Shen Xinyi in advance, the process still required some walking, so they both had to go on the day of the interview. "Well, see you then." Shen Xian smiled slightly and nodded lightly. Seeing Shen Xian walk into the small south gate, Li Jie shook his head in amusement. Her thoughts are a little more mature than her appearance, but her thoughts are still very childish, and she is still essentially a little girl. Just like a child in the rebellious period, he doesn't like others to say that he is naive and has not grown up. "I like to dress up in a mature way and want to use this to prove that I am mature and grown up. However, think about it, this is normal. What little girl doesn't have her own ideas, preferences, and temper? Silly Batian who is completely ignorant of worldly affairs can only be found in idle dramas." Saturday, March 8. In the morning, when Li Jie woke up, he saw Xiao Qiao hugging him tightly like an octopus, and couldn't help but chuckle. For some reason, the president has been a bit annoying these past 2 days. She rarely went back to the dormitory. Except for classes, she spent the rest of the time with him. Even yesterday morning, she ran to the Chinese class to accompany him in class. In addition, when the two of them were making out, she was very proactive, as if she wanted to squeeze him dry. In fact, Xiao Jiao is not the kind of clingy girl. He doesn't know how to make serial calls on the phone, and he doesn't like talking on the phone very much. He rarely pesters Li Jie, so he is relatively independent. Even this internet-addicted girl was so obsessed with surfing the internet that she forgot about her boyfriend. Xiao Jiao suddenly became a little clingy, and Li Jie actually enjoyed it a little while being novel. Li Jie carefully took Xiao Jiao's white, tender arms and beautiful legs away from him, gently lifted the quilt, and turned over to get out of bed. She was too tired and worked too hard last night, so let her sleep more. He didn't even understand that she had been so energetic these past 2 days. Thinking of Xiao Jiao gritting his teeth and showing off his stubbornness, Li Jie couldn't help but shook his head in amusement. "Honey, are you going to the company?" Xiao Jiao suddenly whispered softly on the bed. She obviously hadn't slept enough, and her voice revealed fatigue and laziness. Li Jie turned around, looked at her lovely sleepy look, and said warmly, "Jiao Bao, are you awake? The cooperation has been negotiated. Zhao Jie and the others are coming back from the capital today and want to celebrate their success." Zhao Jie and the other four's trip to the capital went much smoother than expected. After contacting and meeting Mr. Chen, the person in charge of the school network, they demonstrated Dankantang to him. Mr. Chen thought about it for a moment and decided after agreeing to cooperate, we hit it off immediately. The sharing terms are also extremely loose. 8:2 split account, 8 for Fun One Technology, 2 for Xionia Network. In terms of operation and promotion, both parties discussed it, because it was also the first time for Xiaonei.com to get involved in the game business and they had no experience at all. In fact, what Li Jie didn't know was that 2008 was a turning point in the development of the school network. The year before last and last year, Xiaonei.com launched large-scale publicity and promotion activities in 33 cities across the country, but the results were not satisfactory, and its development was considered a setback. At this time, the school network is also looking for more effective publicity and promotion methods to expand customer sources and occupy the market as soon as possible. Zhao Jie and the others took the initiative to come to the door and propose to get involved in the game business, which undoubtedly helped the other party open up their minds and solve the problem. If we wait until after 2009, when Xiaonei.com, also known as Renren.com, really starts to rise, and we talk about cooperation with each other, we will not get such good treatment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 193. Li Jie came to Xiao Jiao, leaned over and kissed her on the cheek, smiled and said dotingly, "You should sleep more, and I will spend the holidays with you when I come back from the company in the evening." Holiday? Is today a holiday? Why don't I know? Xiao Jiao whispered with a chuckle. Today is March 8th. Li Jie looked at her with a smile. Xiao Jiao was stunned for a moment, then said coquettishly, "You are a woman, I am a girl." "A girl?" Li Jie said. "Funny, girl. With a girl as experienced as you can only be regarded as a young woman. Who stipulates that having experience means you are not a girl?" "I am only 18, so of course I am a girl," Xiao Jiao argued with a smile. "I'm 19 this year." 19 is also a girl. Then it's not a holiday today. But it's up to you. It's okay to have holiday gifts. But after teasing Xiao Jiao for a while, Li Jie felt in a good mood and said with a smile, "Okay, you can go back to sleep. I'm going to the company." "Husband, shall I accompany you to the company?" Xiao Jiao said in a coquettish tone. Li Jie was a little surprised when he heard this. "You worked too hard last night, so you should get more sleep. Besides, aren't you unwilling to go to the company?" Xiao Jiao is really a bit of a homebody and doesn't like to go out at all. Instead of going to the company to play, she prefers to stay in a rental house, sleep in, and play on the computer. What a useless girlfriend. But I want to go, I just want to spend more time with you, Xiao Qiao continued to use coquettish tactics. I just want to spend more time with you. Didn't he say this before? Okay, you can go if you want. After a pause, Li Jie looked at her, smiled, and said playfully, but I am short of a personal secretary today, how about you come? You will be short of secretaries if I go, but you won't be short if I don't go. Yes, I will be short of a secretary if you go, but if you don't go I won't be short. What if I don't want to be a secretary? Then don't go. Okay, I'll be the secretary, Xiao Qiao curled her lips and said a little angrily. Private secretary is required to serve as a personal secretary. Are you sure you want to do it? Li Jie's eyes were unexpectedly deep. Xiao Qiao was stunned for a moment, her face turned slightly red, she bit her lip, and said coquettishly, personal service is personal service, it's not necessarily who will suffer and who will take advantage. As expected of the president, he really dares to say anything. Li Jie opened the closet and found the secretary outfit he had bought for Xiao Qiao in the Shanghai market. He threw it to her and said with a smile, Secretary Xiao, Xiao, take office now. The only bad thing about this secretary outfit is that it's too conservative, it's trousers. Secretary Xiao, Xiao, wait until I buy you some more professional clothes. You can wear them alone in the office for me to look at and serve me. Seeing that Li Jie was pushing the envelope and not taking advantage enough, with a proud look on his face, Xiao Qiao was so angry that her teeth were itching. In the past, she would have pounced on him, bit him, hit him, and taught him a lesson. But today, in order to go to the company, she endured it. Okay, she said this through gritted teeth. Li Jie was a little surprised to see that Xiao Qiao could endure it. If it had been before, her kitten would have exploded, and she would definitely pounce on her with all her teeth and claws. Then, he coaxed her and smoothed her hair. By the way, pull her to roll on the bed. After washing up, Li Jie also put on a navy blue suit jacket. He stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself. He had an angular face, thick short black hair, sharp eyebrows, and starry eyes. He was mature and calm, and he looked much more handsome. Where did the sword eyebrow come from? Of course it was cultivated. Li Jie's hair is relatively thick. If he takes care of his face a little, he will look more handsome and manly. If he doesn't take care of it, his hair and eyebrows will be messy, and the whole person will look messy and a bit sloppy. In fact, dressing up is the same for men and women. Many girls were average in high school but became beautiful in college. Is it open? I pay more attention to makeup and grooming. The same goes for boys. When they were amateurs, many male celebrities looked like passers-by, but after makeup, dressing up, and careful packaging, they suddenly became handsome and had the look of a star. Xiao Qiao looked at him funny, curled his lips and said, stop being such a slut, and leave quickly. Li Jie glanced at her, put on professional clothes, and suddenly turned into a pure and cute little, Xiao, secretary. The two of them went downstairs and got in the car together. Li Jie looked at the time and found that it was already past 8 o'clock. He started the car and drove in the direction of the school. Husband, you are driving in the wrong direction, Xiao Qiao reminded. That's right, just go to school first. What are you doing at school? Lu Kaiu in our class also works part-time in the company, so I'll give her a ride anyway, Li Jie explained. Lu Kaiu? When Xiao Qiao heard this, his eyes immediately changed, the one with long legs. President, you are quite good at giving people nicknames. Yeah, Li Jie nodded. He didn't seem to notice the change in her expression. Do you often take her with you? Xiao Qiao's eyes became even more dangerous. It's not that often, I just give her a ride when I'm on my way. Stop the car. What's wrong? I told you to stop the car. Hey, Xiao Bao, what are you doing? Don't hit me, hiss, why did you bite so hard? As soon as Li Jie stopped the car on the side of the road, Xiao Qiao immediately jumped on him like a kitten with fried fur, beating and biting him repeatedly. Li Jie, how dare you go behind my back and work as a driver for another girl? When she discovered that her full-time driver was secretly accepting private work, Xiao Qiao felt jealous and uncomfortable, as if something that belonged to her had been taken away by someone else. I didn't give it to Zhang Qiang and the others. Li Jie looked confused. Can that be the same? What's the difference? Xiao Qiao didn't understand Li Jie, so when she saw him pretending, she laughed angrily. You are still pretending to me, tell me honestly, are you thinking about her long legs? Seeing her cute and jealous look, Li Jie couldn't help but laugh, put his arms around her and comforted her, saying, if you feel uncomfortable, I will never take her with you again, okay? I'm going to call now and say there's something going on, but I can't take her with me, he said deliberately. Forget it, you'd better pick her up. If she takes the bus to the company now, she will definitely be late. Xiao Qiao shook her head and said, husband, I also know that you and she are classmates in the same class, and we are still working part-time in your company. If we come along, I should give her a lift, but I just feel uncomfortable. Li Jie chuckled lightly. Why are you laughing? Qiao Bao, actually I'm quite happy to see you so jealous. Happy? You're still happy when I feel bad, Xiao Qiao hit him again angrily. The more jealous you are, it proves that you care about me and like me. Li Jie said, pinching her nose with a smile, I like the way you look like sour lemon essence. You are the lemon spirit, Xiao Qiao also laughed. Li Jie hugged her and shook his head in his mind. The president was very possessive. It seems that there is still a long way to go before she can accept other sisters. When the car arrived at the girls' dormitory, Lu Kaiu was already waiting downstairs. Seeing Li Jie get out of the car, she immediately walked over quickly and said enthusiastically, Li Jie, you are here. Li Jie smiled and nodded to her, then opened the back seat door and said, get in the car. Lu Kaiu was stunned for a moment. Why did he let her sit in the back row today? But when she got in the car and saw Xiao Qiao sitting in the passenger seat, she understood immediately. Kaiu, Xiao Qiao smiled and greeted Lu Kaiu. Xiao Qiao, Lu Kaiu also smiled and nodded to Xiao Qiao. But the enthusiasm in her heart suddenly dropped. Li Jie has a girlfriend. This reality was before her eyes again. Xiao Qiao glanced at Lu Kaiu sitting in the back seat through the rear-view mirror, and couldn't help but feel very upset. She was too careless and not vigilant. Bai Wei and Zhang Yu had directly or indirectly reminded her before that she should be more vigilant and watch Li Jie closely, but she didn't take it to heart. Now that I think about it, she is so stupid. Even if Li Jie didn't have any evil intentions, he still couldn't stop too many beautiful girls from taking the initiative to fall in love with him. He is getting better and better, and there are countless girls who care about him openly or secretly. Just like Lu Kaiu sitting in the back row, she knew what the other person was thinking without having to guess. She was envious of the other party's long legs. Being chased by such a beautiful girl with a good figure for a long time, which man can resist this temptation? What's more, Xiao Qiao knows Li Jie's preferences very well. He is a bit of a leg control guy. Once, while playing with her legs, he spilled the beans. Speaking of her legs, if they were longer, they would be even more perfect. Thinking of this, Xiao Qiao's heart was even more alarmed. Then she thought of Zhou Ziyu again. Last year, Zhang Yu reminded her to pay attention to Zhou Ziyu, saying that she and Li Jie were a bit close. However, after the elective course ended, Li Jie and the other party no longer interacted with each other, so she gave up her doubts. But this year, Zhou Ziyu suddenly had a mysterious boyfriend. It's so mysterious that no one has ever seen it, and no one even knows its name. Zhou Ziyu's mysterious boyfriend bought her a car. and Li Jie suddenly proposed to buy her a car. This cast a shadow over Xiao Jiao's heart. When she thought of Zhou Zia's beautiful and charming face, she felt filled with a sense of crisis. Because, Li Jie not only controls his legs, but also controls his face. No, she can no longer be so insensitive and careless. She must watch Li Jie more closely, even more closely, and guard him closely to prevent him from picking wildflowers. Xiao Jiao made up his mind. The three of them didn't talk much along the way. Xiao Jiao and Lu Kaiu said a few polite words to each other and stopped talking. Feeling that the atmosphere in the car was a bit subtle, Li Jie wisely chose to concentrate on driving. When he came to the company, Li Jie took Xiao Jiao to visit all the offices. When the old employees saw Xiao Jiao, they all called her boss, and the new employees also followed suit. Xiao Jiao also smiled and greeted everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 194. Following Li Jie back to the president's office, Xiao Jiao glanced at him and said, "How come the company has expanded so much all of a sudden? It seems to me that the number of employees has more than doubled." Li Jie hugged Xiao Jiao, let her sit on his lap, and said with a smile, "More people call you the boss's wife, isn't it good?" Xiao Jiao smiled coquettishly. It was obvious that she was in a great mood. Xiao Jiao's temperament is a bit pushy and enjoys the feeling of being noticed. It's just that in the past 6 months or so, she has become more prominent in school, but she no longer has a strong desire to perform. At this time, Zhao Jie knocked on the door and walked in. "Mr. Li." Seeing Zhao Jie come in, Xiao Jiao quickly got off Li Jie's lap. "Sister Jie." "Xiao Jiao," Zhao Jie smiled and greeted Xiao Jiao. Then she said to Li Jie, "Mr. Li, I have informed everyone of the meeting at 9:30. Li Jie nodded to Zhao Jie, "Sister, I keep my word. Since you have successfully negotiated the cooperation with the school network, you will be the manager of the marketing department. The probation period will be 3 months. After the appointment, it will be announced at the meeting." When he first met Zhao Jie, he called her senior sister. When Zhao Jie became his assistant, he just called her Zhao Jie. Now that Zhao Jie has become the manager of the marketing department, he called her senior sister again. This is a change of status. "Thank you, Mr. Li. I will work harder and redouble my efforts in the future." Although Zhao Jie was trying her best to control her emotions, it could still be seen that she was in agitated and extremely excited mood. After working for only half a year, at the age of 23, she transformed from an assistant to a department manager. How could she not be excited about such an opportunity? Correct. Li Jie thought for a while and then said, "Sister, I'm going to invest in a low-cost online drama. Go to an art school and help me find a student in the directing department who has experience in filming to be the director." Web drama. When Zhao Jie heard this, he was obviously stunned. She didn't understand why Li Jie thought of investing in filming again. They were a game company and had nothing to do with filming. Also, what is a web drama? Seeing that Zhao Jie was confused, Li Jie told her what an online drama was and about filming an online drama to promote Dandan Hall. "Mr. Li, you mean to promote my game through the video platform?" After listening to what Li Jie said, Zhao Jie suddenly realized that in her opinion, Li Jie said he was filming a web drama, but in fact he was filming a game advertisement. It is indeed a good way to promote games through video platforms. As a boss, she always comes up with surprising ideas. Li Jie nodded and said, "This publicity method mainly involves small investment. Nowadays, major video platforms are encouraging users to shoot videos in order to gain more users and traffic. We only need to spend 50,000 to 60,000 yuan to film the online drama, and then use it to discuss cooperation with major video platforms. As the first online short drama, in order to attract traffic, they will definitely rush to promote and broadcast it. Not only will they not accept our promotion fee, will also give us a share of click advertising. How did those early student directors make money and survive filming online dramas? It relies on the click-through advertising share of the video platform. Zhao Jie looked at Li Jie and couldn't help but be a little impressed. He didn't spend money on publicity and still made money. How did he come up with such an idea? After a pause, Li Jie continued, nowadays, young people like to go online and watch some funny videos online, and the main ones who like to play games are also young people, so this kind of publicity method does not cost much and the effect is very objective. Mr. Li, I'll make a trip as soon as possible, Zhao Jie said excitedly. She is now more and more confident about the success of Dandan Tang. Not to mention that the quality of the game is good. Even if the quality of the game is not good, Li Jie's repeated promotion methods can still make the game popular for a period of time. Li Jie shook his head and said, "Sister, please don't go. The marketing department has just been established and I can't do without you. You should also find an assistant. Then ask her to make a trip for you and go to a few more art schools. Just find a directing student who is obedient and has some shooting experience. Making web dramas is not difficult at all. Except for a few students in the directing department who have connections and can attract investment, they basically have no movies to shoot. When someone asks them to film a movie, even if it is a web series, there are a lot of people who are willing to do it, even for free, and there are people who are willing to pay living expenses." Dry. Li Jie remembered that in his previous life, there were a few students who became famous by filming online dramas. He just couldn't remember what it was called or which school he was from. Therefore, I can only find a random student director. Zhao Jie nodded, indicating that he understood, and then prepared to go out. Wait, Li Jie called her again. "Senior sister, please help me find another assistant." After Zhao Jie was promoted to marketing manager, he had no help. After Zhao Jie left, Xiao Jiao sighed and said, "In just half a year, Sister Jia was promoted from assistant to general manager, and I am still the secretary." "You're different." Li Jie looked at her with a smile. "What's different about me? I'm still a secretary, and I don't have a salary. I'm being exploited by you and doing things for free," Xiao Jiao said with a smile, a little dissatisfied. Li Jie held her on his lap again and said with a playful smile, "Of course it's different. Your little secretary, Xiao, also climbed into the boss's bed and was promoted to the boss's wife. Besides, I didn't pay less for you. You got the advantage and behaved like a good boy." Xiao Jiao bit her lip and looked at him coquettishly. She instantly understood what Li Jie meant by paying wages. Looking at his little girlfriend's charming and cute appearance, Li Jie couldn't help but feel warm and kissed her directly. "Stop making trouble, don't you still have a meeting?" The president said not to make trouble, but his body was very honest and took the initiative to hug his neck. Thinking of the meeting, Li Jie endured his anger and only kissed her for a while and let her go. He looked at the time and found that it was already past 9:20. "Xiao Bao, please go to the meeting with me too." "Should I go too?" Xiao Qiao said as he arranged his clothes. "You are the secretary, so of course you have to go along. You are responsible for the minutes of the meeting." "Meeting minutes? But I don't know how to take meeting minutes." "Then let Caillou do it." Li Jie glanced at her. A good-for-nothing secretary, except for personal service, she can't do anything. "Caillou? You're calling her so intimate," Xiao Jiao said a little jealously as she hid him under him. She really wanted to tell Li Jie not to let Lu Caillou work part-time in the company anymore. But she knew that it would be a bit unreasonable to do so. Li Jie smiled and hugged her. "Okay, don't be jealous. It's almost time." Let's go to the meeting. As he said this, he was about to put her down from his lap and then stood up. But Xiao Qiao hugged his neck again. Husband. Is something wrong? As soon as he heard the president's coquettish voice, Li Zhe knew that something was wrong with her, otherwise she wouldn't have used coquettish tactics. Don't you have an assistant? How about I be your assistant? Xiao Qiao said with a coquettish smile. You're an assistant? But you can't even take meeting minutes. Li Zhe glanced at her. I can learn if I don't know how, and I don't need a salary, so why don't you just let me be your assistant? Okay, okay, Xiao Qiao used her coquettish tactics again. Okay, then you will be my personal secretary and assistant. Li Zhe couldn't bear her begging and said with a smile. Seeing that Li Zhe agreed, Xiao Qiao suddenly beamed. I will work hard to be a good secretary and assistant for you. She jumped off his lap. It's time, let's go to the meeting. Li Zhe stood up with a smile. Although this little, Xiao, secretary and little, Xiao, assistant are incompetent, they are eye-catching and can provide personal service. That's enough. However, his little girlfriend takes up all his time. What should he do with his little lover? No matter how sensible Zhou Ziyu is, if he is always left out, he will feel aggrieved and upset. So, we need to find a solution as soon as possible. Also, because Xiao Qiao suddenly acted so abnormally, he probably noticed something and became suspicious. All the employees of Qwen Technology, 56 full-time employees, 7 part-time students, 63 people, all gathered together, filling the small conference room. Entering the small meeting, Li Zhe sat down at the main seat and asked Xiao Qiao to sit next to him. It's time to change to a bigger conference room. He glanced at the whole place and said in his mind. This plenary meeting is a celebration party for Zhao Jie and the 4 of them, and it is also a mobilization meeting before the launch of Duntuntang. At the beginning of the meeting, Li Jiaxian announced the rewards for Zhao Jie and the other 4. Zhao Jie was promoted to marketing manager with a probation period of 3 months. Zhuang Jiang and 3 others were also rewarded with salaries ranging from 1 to 3 months. After talking about the rewards for Zhao Jie and others, Li Zhe asked Yu Zhongfeng, Yu Gong, when is Duntuntang expected to be tested? Yu Zhongfeng adjusted his glasses and said, Mr. Li, the internal test can be launched as soon as the 24th. Small games do not need to be tested for a long time. The test will take 7 to 10 days. If there are no major problems, the public test can be launched. That is to say, there is less than a month until the game is launched. Li Zhe nodded after listening. As he said that, he looked at Zhao Jie, Manager Zhao, what does the school network say about the publicity and promotion of the game? They said they would allocate some resources to publicize and promote the game. They also asked us if we had any promotion plan. Zhao Jie said. Cooperation between game production companies and game platforms generally includes publicity, promotion, and operations. Some game companies only cooperate with game platforms in terms of publicity and promotion, but are independently responsible for game operations. But many small companies, in order to save costs, will even hand over game operations to the game platform. In fact, it is equivalent to making a game, selling the game to the game platform, and getting a small share every month. The cooperation between Qwen Technology and Xiaonei.com only involves publicity and promotion. Game operation involves game control, and Li Zhe will definitely not hand it over. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 195. Even for publicity and promotion, he will not always rely on the school network. Without your own platform, you will eventually be controlled by others. Once he has capital, Li Zhe will build his own gaming platform. Li Zhe thought for a while and said with a smile, since it is cooperation, we should not only consider promoting our games, but also promote the school network. This is called cooperation and a win-win situation. If you want to win respect, you must let others know that you are useful. Otherwise, blindly relying on others will only completely reduce you to a vassal. Mr. Li, do you have any good ideas? After hearing what Li Jie said, Zhao Jie knew that he must have come up with another good idea. Li Jie glanced at Zhao Jie, and then said, currently, the main users of xiaonei.com are students from major universities, so I think we can jointly organize a college beauty selection event with xiaonei.com. This event is organized by the school network, which is most suitable and authoritative. As a sponsor, we can provide selection bonuses and name the game. In fact, Li Jie is planning to expand the school-wide beauty pageant he planned to the whole country and hold another national college beauty pageant. This kind of activity of selecting school beauties in colleges and universities was very common in later generations. But in this day and age, it's relatively new. Beauty pageants are an eye-catching activity in any era. Zhao Jie and Yu Zhongfeng looked at each other, feeling amazed. This plan is truly a win-win situation. If this national college beauty selection event is successfully held, it will definitely bring a lot of attention to the game, and the school network will benefit even more. It's not just Zhao Jie and Yu Zhongfeng. Everyone in the conference room was in a commotion with excitement. Obviously, they are all quite interested in this school beauty selection event. Zhao Jie pressed his hand to silence the scene. Mr. Li, what about the rules and procedures of the event? As long as girls have verified their student IDs on the school's online site, they can upload photos to sign up for the event, and then there will be online voting to select the top 100 students in the country with the highest votes from all the participating students. When Li Jie said this, a thought came to his mind. Fortunately, the technology of beauty and photo editing is not so advanced now, otherwise it would be possible to select a bunch of photos and cheat them out. These 100 people can get souvenirs from the event, and the top 10 will also receive bonuses. The first place will be awarded 10,000, the second place will be awarded 9,000, and so on. The 10th place will be rewarded 1,000. After listening to Li Jie, Zhao Jie calculated the rules and procedures of the event. At least 70,000 to 80,000, and at most 100,000 would be enough. Compared with the attention the event brings to the game, this investment is nothing. Mr. Li, I will plan the event as soon as possible and then contact the school network. Wait, I'm not done yet, Li Jie said with a smile. These alone cannot attract enough attention and eyeballs, so the top 3 will receive heavy prizes. After a pause, he continued, I am going to invest in a movie, and the heroine will be chosen from the top 3. After listening to what Li Jie said, Zhao Jie and Yu Zhongfeng both had doubts in their eyes. Zhao Jie thought for a while and said, Mr. Li, if you have the opportunity to participate in a movie, if this news is released, it will attract great attention. But investing in a movie requires a lot of money. In addition, returning money is also very problematic. Li Jie smiled and said confidently, investing in a small cost film only costs 1 or 2 million, and I am certain that I can recoup the cost. If you only invest 1 or 2 million, for the company, even if you lose everything, it won't hurt your muscles and bones. In addition, Li Jie also looks very confident, so although Zhao Jie and Yu Zhongfeng still had doubts, but didn't say anything more. After finishing the main points of the meeting, Li Jie finally carried out motivational mobilization and announced that after the successful launch of Dandan Tang, all employees in the R/U0026D department will receive salary increases. This year, all employees will receive 13 salaries and a year-end bonus. When Li Jie finished speaking, the conference room burst into applause and cheers. Xiao Qiao sat next to Li Jie and watched him talking eloquently and presiding over the meeting in an orderly manner with a mature and steady look. He felt particularly charming and attractive. Think about it, last year, she just wanted to find a boyfriend and fall in love. Unexpectedly, I met such a good boyfriend like Li Jie. He is rich, capable, and has a good personality. The key is that he loves her very much. Xiao Jiao feels that he is so lucky. Suddenly, she felt happy and satisfied. Suddenly, Xiao Jiao noticed that there was a gaze looking at Li Jie with admiration. She followed her gaze and found that the other person was the long-legged one, Lu Kaiyu. After the meeting, there was a staff dinner. Li Jie did not take his employees to the restaurant. Instead, he found a restaurant to deliver food and held a free dinner at the company. Everyone ate buffet, took whatever food they wanted, moved around freely, and chatted with each other. Li Jie didn't make any long speech. After the food and drinks were delivered, he immediately announced the start of the dinner. This is Xiao Jiao's first time to participate. This kind of buffet dinner is quite novel. You can take a small plate and try some of the dishes that look good. On Li Jie's side, subordinates and employees would come over to toast from time to time. Although Li Jie only drank a little each time, he couldn't bear the crowd of people toasting him. After a while, he felt a little drunk. Who made his drinking capacity so bad? So, Li Jie took Xiao Jiao back to the office. Lu Kaiyu held a glass of red wine and looked at the backs of Li Jie and Xiao Jiao leaving, and couldn't help but feel a little dazed. If she could have discovered Li Jie's kindness earlier when school first started, then she should be the one staying with him now, right? The story of how Li Jie and Xiao Jiao got married has been spread throughout the school. There are many versions of various stories. The most widely circulated version of the story is probably, Li Jie had a crush on Tan Hui, changed his choice for her, and chose to come to Hongqian Normal University thousands of miles away, but his confession was rejected. Frustrated, he met Xiao Jiao by chance on the school bus welcoming new students, and fell in love with her at first sight. In this story, Li Jie is the male protagonist, and Xiao Jiao is undoubtedly the heroine, the girl of destiny. Tan Hui, on the other hand, had a problem with her eyesight and missed the role of the second female lead. Lu Kaiyu couldn't help but wonder, who is she in this story? Is she the third female character who silently likes the male protagonist but never gets a response? Kaiyu, let's have a drink together, a boy in his 20s came over and said with a smile. This male protagonist is also a part-time student, but he is a junior majoring in computer science. Okay, Lu Kaiyu came back to her senses, raised her glass, exchanged respect with the other party, and took a sip. After toasting, the boy left. Lu Kaiyu glanced at the other party's back. Although the boy didn't say it clearly, she could tell that he was interested in her. But when boys compare with Li Jie, they are far behind. For some reason, whenever she meets a suitor now, she will subconsciously compare him with Li Jie. Lu Kaiyu also knew that this was wrong. Which boy could compare with Li Jie? If this continues, you won't be able to find a boyfriend. But she just couldn't control it. She had seen better things, so she couldn't accept the bad ones. Lu Kaiyu thought for a while, left the dinner party, went to the tea room to get 2 cups of coffee, and brought them to the president's office. She knocked on the door twice and waited for a while. The office door opened from the inside, revealing Li Jie's tall and steady figure. Kaiyu, is something wrong? Li Jie took off his suit jacket and undid 2 buttons of his shirt. His strong and muscular chest was faintly visible. He looked slightly drunk and stood lazily. His whole body exuded a strong masculine aura. Lu Kaiyu's face turned slightly red when he stared at her. She smiled and said in a pretentious manner, "It's nothing. I just brought 2 cups of coffee for you and Xiao Jiao. Come in." Li Jie glanced at the coffee she was holding and said with a smile. Lu Kaiyu walked into the office, looked around, and then put the coffee on the desk. "Where's Xiao Jiao?" She found that Xiao Jiao was not in the office. Li Jie returned to his desk and sat down. She went to the bathroom. After saying that, he couldn't help but chuckle. Lu Kaiyu glanced at him and didn't understand what he was laughing at. Li Jie suddenly took a breath of cold air. "What's wrong, Lu Kaiu couldn't help but ask when she saw this. It's okay, Li Jie smiled. Are you feeling unwell? Lu Kaiu looked at Li Jie, feeling that something was wrong with him. When her eyes accidentally glanced at the back legs of the desk, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and a small black cloth was thrown to the ground. Li Jie noticed her gaze, coughed and said, Kaiu, you can also participate in the school beauty selection event. Upon hearing this, Lu Kaiu was diverted and asked, can I participate too? You are also a student, why can't you participate? Li Jie said with a smile. But I am an employee of the company. If I want to participate, wouldn't it seem a bit? Lu Kaiu said hesitantly. Unfair? Is there a shady secret? Li Jie shook his head disapprovingly, what competition doesn't have some shady secrets? Besides, given your conditions, you are already qualified to be selected. You should also sign up when the time comes. As an internal member of the company, you will receive some preferential treatment. Good exposure positions will be prioritized for you. You might even be among the top 10 and get some bonuses. After hearing what Li Jie said, Lu Kaiu nodded and agreed. She subconsciously looked back at the table legs, only to find that the small black cloth on the ground was gone. Lu Kaiu understood something immediately and couldn't help but feel embarrassed, blushing and heart beating. No wonder Li Jie locked the door of his office. It turned out that he and Xiao Jiao were. Li Jie, I'll go out first. She walked out in a panic, forgetting that she should even call her Li Jie, Mr. Li, in the company. After Lu Kaiu left, Li Jie pulled Xiao Jiao out from under the table in a funny manner. Okay, people are gone, come out. As soon as Xiao Jiao came out, he jumped on Li Jie and beat him out of anger and embarrassment. It's all your fault, otherwise I wouldn't have to hide under the table. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 196. Li Jie was about to pay his secretary, Xiao, salary when Lu Kaiu knocked on the door. Xiao Jiao, who was red-faced, disheveled and unable to see anyone, had no choice but to hide under the table. Tell me, did you do it on purpose? Xiao Jiao said coquettishly while riding on him. What did I do on purpose? Li Jie looked innocent. Can't you just take the coffee? Why did you let her in? You didn't know I was under the table, Xiao Jiao said angrily. They are kind enough to bring us coffee. It would be unreasonable for me not to even let them in, Li Jie explained seriously. Although what Li Jie said was reasonable, seeing the smile on his lips, Xiao Jiao immediately understood that he did it on purpose. Li Jie, it's fun for you to bully me, isn't it? She got angry and bit and hit him again. The two were arguing for a while. When Xiao Jiao stopped panting, Li Jie slapped her little buttocks. Why are you hitting me again? Xiao Jiao glared at him and said angrily. Why do you say again? Because when the two were arguing just now, Li Jie had already spanked her several times on her butt. Go and lock the door. I'm going to pay you, Li Jie ordered her with a smile. He said with a playful look in his eyes, you are now a personal secretary and assistant, and you can get double salary. Xiao Jiao bit her lip, her eyes moved, and she glanced at him, which seemed provocative and tempting. Then she jumped off him and trotted to lock the door. Next day, Sunday. In the afternoon, Xiao Jiao stayed in the rental house, playing with the computer absent-mindedly. This morning she wanted to accompany Li Jie to the company again, but he refused to let her go. He said that he would come back soon and then celebrate her birthday with her. As a result, Li Jie disappeared as soon as he left. It was past 4 o'clock and he still hadn't come back. Even if I call him, I can't get through. He wouldn't really go behind her back and find another girl, would he? Xiao Jiao would definitely not have such worries before, but now she is a little worried. She thought for a while, changed her clothes, and left the rental house. When he came to school and walked into the dormitory building, Xiao Jiao did not go to the dormitory. When she reached the second floor, she continued to climb up to the fourth floor. Walking to the door of dormitory 408, looking at the closed dormitory door, Xiao Jiao hesitated and knocked on the door. "Please come in," a female voice came from inside the room. Xiao Jiao gently opened the door a crack and saw Tan Hui sitting at the desk doing questions. Tan Hui turned around and found that the person coming was Xiao Jiao. She was surprised and said hesitantly, "Xiao Jiao, are you looking for me?" Xiao Jiao looked at Tan Hui and smiled awkwardly, "No, I'm here to see Zhou Ziyu." She walked into the dormitory, looked around, and found that only Tan Hui and another unknown girl were there, and Zhou Ziyu was not there. "Are you looking for Ziyu?" Tan Hui was even more surprised. "But Ziyu is out." "Then when did she go out?" Xiao Jiao felt a little nervous. "About 2 o'clock, Tan Hui thought for a while and said. When Xiao Jiao heard this, he felt relieved. "How about you wait for her? She should have gone to practice driving and will be back soon." Tan Hui glanced at Xiao Jiao and felt that her purpose of coming was a little strange. Xiao Jiao smiled and said, "No, I don't have anything important to do, so I'll go back first." After saying that, she opened the door and was about to leave, but she happened to bump into Zhou Ziyu and Huo Lily, who were coming back from outside. Seeing Xiao Jiao, Zhou Ziyu was stunned for a moment, then said with a slight smile, "Xiao Jiao, are you here?" "Ziyu, Xiao Jiao is here to see you," Tan Hui explained. After Zhou Ziyu heard this, he smiled and asked, "Xiao Jiao, do you have something to do with me?" "Xiao Jiao? What's wrong with her?" At this moment, her cell phone rang. Xiao Jiao felt like he was being pardoned and said quickly, "I'm going to answer the phone first, and we'll talk about it next time." After saying that, she took the phone and left in a hurry. "What is this Xiao Jiao doing here?" Huo Lily was a little confused. Zhou Ziyu looked at Xiao Jiao's leaving figure with a thoughtful expression. As Xiao Jiao walked downstairs to the dormitory, he hit his head with his hand in frustration. She actually ran to investigate Zhou Ziyu's movements on impulse. It turns out that she thought too much. Xiao Jiao couldn't help feeling a little sorry for Li Jie. She actually doubted him. Otherwise, make it up to him tonight and be his maid. However, why can't Li Jie's phone call get through? Xiao Jiao thought for a while and called Zhao Xia, only to learn that Li Jie had left the company at noon. What will happen to him? She couldn't help but feel worried. Xiao Jiao returned to the dormitory and opened the door, only to find that there was no one in the room. But Bai Wei called just now, saying that he had something to ask her and asked her to go back to the dormitory. She called Bai Wei again and was told that she would be back soon and asked her to wait for a while. As a result, she waited for nearly 2 hours. Every time I called Bai Wei to ask when she would be back, she said it would be soon, very soon, but she never came back. In the end, she couldn't even get through the phone. There was no other way. Xiao Jiao called Zhang Qiang again, but her phone couldn't get through either. It was already past 6 o'clock. Seeing that it was getting dark, but Li Jie's phone still couldn't be reached, Xiao Jiao was really worried. She decided to go back to the rental house to see if he was back. After leaving the dormitory, Xiao Jiao hurried back and soon came to the downstairs of the rental house. She looked up and found that there was no light in the room, and she was immediately disappointed. It seems that Li Jie hasn't come back yet. Xiao Jiao went upstairs sadly, came to the door of the room, opened the door, and found that the room was dark. Why is it so dark? She pressed the light switch, but the light didn't come on. Is the light broken? At this moment, colorful neon lights suddenly lit up in the room. Only then did Xiao Jiao realize that the living room had been carefully decorated, hung with colorful balloons, decorated with colorful neon lights, ribbons, and a banner in the middle that read "Happy 19th birthday to Jiao Bao." Li Jie stood in front of her, holding a large bouquet of roses in his hand and looking at her with a smile. Xiao Bao, happy birthday. Husband, Xiao Qiao said in surprise and excitement. Do you like it? Li Jie smiled and handed the rose to her. Well, I like it very much. Xiao Qiao happily took the rose and smiled sweetly at him. You haven't seen anyone or answered the phone all day. Are you preparing this for me? Well, I have a surprise for you. Li Jie smiled and nodded. The phone has been unreachable, and I was worried that something had happened to you. Xiao Qiao couldn't help feeling a little guilty when she thought that Li Jie was busy preparing a birthday surprise for her, but she still doubted him. She put the rose aside, put her arms around his neck, and offered him a sweet kiss. Qiao Bao, say goodbye. Li Jie was a little resistant. Seeing Li Jie's seriousness, Xiao Qiao couldn't help but feel a little funny. She didn't know what kind of person he was. Let you pretend? Xiao Qiao jumped on Li Jie and went to unbutton his shirt. But at this moment, the bedroom door suddenly opened, and 5 girls rushed out with fireworks tubes. Seeing the scene of the two being intimate, they were stunned for a moment, feeling a little embarrassed. Xiao Qiao was even more confused. Why was there someone hiding in this room? Sister Wei, Xiaoxian, Xiao, Xiaoli, Xiaoman, I said no one could get through on the phone today. So you and Li Jie teamed up to hide it from me. Li Jie said he wanted to give you a surprise and asked us to cooperate. Bai Wei explained. Xiao Qiao, it turns out you. Zhang Qiang's eyes looked strange. Only then did Xiao Qiao realize that her legs were still wrapped around Li Jie's waist, and her hands were still holding onto his shirt. She quickly let go of her hand and jumped off of him. Zhang Yu said with a smile, I've already said that Xiao Qiao is the proactive type, but you still don't believe it? You must have seen it with your own eyes this time. Seeing the strange and ambiguous looks from his roommates, Xiao Qiao's face instantly turned red and hot, and he wished he could crawl into a crack in the ground immediately. Why was she so unlucky? Li Jie bullied her every time. She rarely took the initiative and was caught by her roommates. Bang, the fireworks tube in Bai Wei's hand spurted out colorful ribbons and confetti, all over Xiao Qiao. Bang! 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 The fireworks tubes in the hands of Zhang Qiang, Lu Li, and Shen Man also fired one after another. Don't just spray me, spray him too, Xiao Qiao said with a smile as he took off the ribbons and colored paper on his body. When Zhang Yu heard this, the fireworks tube that was originally pointed at Xiao Qiao suddenly turned towards Li Jie. Boom! Flowing ribbons and colored paper were also sprinkled all over him. Xiao Qiao, happy birthday! 5 girls said at the same time. Sister Wei, Xiaoxian, Xiao, Xiaoli, Xiaoman, thank you, Xiao Qiao said happily. Zhang Qiang said with a smile, if you want to thank Li Jie. He planned all of this. We are just helping. When Xiao Qiao heard this, he couldn't help turning his head to look at Li Jie, his eyes full of affection. Li Jie put his arm around Xiao Qiao's slender waist and said with a smile, let's eat. It's very late and everyone should be hungry. When they came to the dining table, Xiao Qiao sat at the head seat, Li Jie was next to her, and Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang also sat down one after another. 15 or 6 dishes of various colors were placed on the table. Zhang Yu glanced at Li Jie and said to Xiao Qiao with great envy, Li Jie hired a small restaurant to cook these dishes for you all afternoon. Yes, Li Jie is really attentive. He didn't even let us ask for help. Bai Wei, Zhang Qiang, and others also said. After one afternoon of contact, their impressions of Li Jie couldn't be better. They were all envious of how kind and attentive he was to Xiao Qiao. Xiao Qiao couldn't help but look at Li Jie again, the affection in his eyes was so thick that it seemed like water was dripping from his eyes. How do I feel that we are affecting their performance here, Shen Man joked with a smile. If we weren't here, Xiao Qiao would probably have committed himself to me by now, Zhang Yu also said with a smile. How about we leave? Several girls pretended to stand up. Hey, don't be like this, Xiao Qiao was embarrassed by the comments from them. Okay, stop making trouble, Bai Wei said. She took out a small purple gift box and handed it to Xiao Qiao, birthday gift. Xiao Qiao took it and opened it and found that it was a beautiful small jadeite Maitreya Buddha pendant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 197. Sister Wei, thank you, Xiao Qiao fiddled with the small pendant, obviously liking it very much. By Wei, your jade pendant isn't cheap, is it? Although Li Jie doesn't understand jade, the pendant Bai Wei gave him looks very beautiful and has good texture, so it should be genuine. As long as jade is genuine, no matter how low-end it is, it will cost several hundred yuan. It's not that expensive. The low-end glutinous ice species has been optimized, so it looks a bit more beautiful, Bai Wei said with a smile. Although Bai Wei said it lightly, Li Jie was more certain that this jadeite was not cheap, costing at least 500 to 600. Do you still understand jade? Understand a little, Bai Wei nodded lightly. Li Jie looked at Bai Wei thoughtfully. She was being polite when she said she knew better. She should be more knowledgeable. He also thought about buying some jade jewelry for Xiao Qiao and Zhou Ziyu. After all, it would be too monotonous to only give gold. But he didn't know much about jade and didn't dare to buy it. After all, there are too many fake jadeite products, such as B, C, and D products. But since Bai Wei is knowledgeable, if she wants to buy something in the future, she can help her take a look. Next, Zhang Qian, Zhang Yu, Lu Li, and Shen Man also gave birthday gifts. What Lu Li gave was a beautiful music box, and Shen Man gave a bottle of perfume. The prices were both around 200 to 300 yuan. Because after Li Jie and Xiao Qiao got together, he would send a lot of fruit snacks to their dormitory every now and then. A typical roommate's boyfriend supports a dormitory. So now that Xiao Qiao has her birthday, they are too embarrassed to give out gifts that are too cheap. What Zhang Qian gave as a gift was an extra-large teddy bear plush doll that was as tall as one person. It was very beautiful. Seeing Zhang Qian walking out of the bedroom holding the big teddy bear, Zhang Yu couldn't help laughing. Why are you laughing? Zhang Qian was puzzled by her laughter. Xiao Qiao needs something to hold while sleeping. Just hold Li Jie. There is no need for this thing you gave me, Zhang Yu said funny. After saying that, she asked Xiao Qiao, really Xiao Qiao? Zhang Qian said unconvinced, you can hug Xiao Qiao even in the dormitory. Dorm? Our 90 centimeters wide bed, why would you let her hold this thing again? Zhang Yu had a look on his face that said, are you stupid? Zhang Qian. Don't just talk about me, what about you? Have you prepared any meaningful gifts? Just wait and see, Zhang Yu chuckled and walked into the bedroom. Then, soon she walked out carrying a half-person high photo frame. Seeing the photos in the frame, Lu Li and Shen Man exclaimed at the same time, so beautiful. This is a half-length photo of Xiao Qiao, with her hair draped over her shoulders and her sweet smile. It was captured so well that she is 1 or 2 points more beautiful than the real person. Xiao Qiao looked at the photo with a smile on his face, obviously very satisfied with the gift. Xiao Yu, did you take this photo? Bai Wei asked Zhang Yu. I took the photo, so my technique is pretty good, Zhang Yu smiled confidently and proudly. Then, she said to Zhang Qian, Xiao Qian, how are you? Is my gift okay? Zhang Qian glanced at the proud Zhang Yu, but had nothing to say. Li Jie, where's your gift? You're the only boyfriend who didn't give me a gift. Bai Wei looked at Li Jie with a smile. Yes, take out the gift quickly. Don't keep Xiao Qiao waiting. Zhang Qian and Zhang Yu also urged with a smile. Li Jie smiled, took out his wallet, and pulled out a bank card. Then he took Xiao Jiao's hand and put the bank card in her hand. Jiao Bao, this bank card is the card I use to receive manuscript fees. I usually use this card for my expenses. Now I'm giving this card to you for safekeeping. You can also ask for your pocket money in the future. He gave Zhou Ziyu a bank card, so Xiao Jiao had to arrange it as well. And this bank card for collecting manuscript fees is the most meaningful. Li Jie, you'd better hold this card yourself. There is so much money in the card, I'm afraid I'll lose it. What if it's stolen? Xiao Jiao held the bank card as if it was hot, and quickly pushed the card away. Gave it to him. Li Jie smiled and forced the card into Xiao Jiao's hand, then closed her hand, held it tightly, and said a little forcefully, I tell you to take it, just take it. Jiao Bao, you are me now, my girlfriend will be my wife from now on, and she will definitely help me manage some of my property. You must learn to adapt. Bai Wei and Zhang Qian were all stunned. The birthday gift from Li Jie was a bit too generous. They didn't know how much money Li Jie made from writing books, but they heard that it was about 70,000 to 80,000 yuan a month. Why did he give so much money to his girlfriend? Even if Li Jie just handed the card to Xiao Jiao symbolically, it would be very rare. How many men are unwilling to hand over their salary cards after getting married, let alone their boyfriends and girlfriends? Zhang Yu was extremely jealous. If she had 60,000 to 70,000 yuan a month, how many clothes, bags, and cosmetics could she buy? To be honest, if Li Jie could like her, she would be willing to be the third or fourth party. The problem is, Li Jie doesn't like her. After listening to Li Jie's words, Xiao Jiao looked at his firm attitude, hesitated for a moment, nodded and said, then I will hold this card for you, but as soon as the monthly manuscript fee arrives, I will give you the money turn around. Otherwise, with so much money, I wouldn't be able to sleep well. That's okay, then you can adapt slowly, Li Jie said with a smile. Zhang Yu watched from the side and sighed in his heart. In her opinion, Xiao Jiao is too stupid. Since Li Jie is so rich and is willing to spend money on her, then spend it hard. If you don't spend it now when we are together, you won't be able to spend it after we break up. All the money saved will be cheaper for the subsequent women. That's right, Zhang Yu is not optimistic about the future of Li Jie and Xiao Jiao. The status of the two is too unequal, and the only thing Xiao Jiao relies on is Li Jie's likes. But what if one day, Li Jie gets tired of her and doesn't like her anymore? Men like the new and hate the old, let alone a rich man like Li Jie. At that time, Xiao Jiao will only be dumped. After giving the gifts, everyone started to eat. Since all the people present were girls except Li Jie, he only prepared drinks and wine tasting, and only a few cans of beer. Among the girls, only Zhang Yu chose to drink beer, and the rest all chose drinks, including Li Jie. Everyone was eating and chatting, and the atmosphere was lively. Bai Wei and Zhang Qian all praised Li Jie's cooking skills. Zhang Yu also said that he wanted to have a drink with Li Jie, but Li Jie refused. The meal lasted for nearly an hour. After finishing the meal, Bai Wei, Zhang Qian, and the others pushed out an 18-inch 3-layer cake from the bedroom. Everyone sang happy birthday together. Li Jie smiled and put a pink birthday hat on Xiao Jiao, signaling her to make a wish and blow out the candles. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 198. Xiao Jiao closed her eyes, lowered her head, clasped her hands together, and made a wish. 10 seconds later, she opened her eyes, blew out the candle in one breath, and said with a smile, "Okay, I've finished my wish." "What wish did you make?" Li Jie asked with a smile. "I can't tell you, it won't work," Xiao Jiao smiled and shook his head. "I can guess it even if you don't tell me." "Then tell me, what wish did I make?" Li Jie smiled and whispered something in her ear. Xiao Jiao was stunned for a moment after hearing this, a little surprised. It seemed that Li Jie had really guessed it. What is Xiao Jiao's wish? Zhang Yu asked curiously. Zhang Qiang and Lu Li were also a little curious. Li Jie smiled but didn't say anything. He just said to Xiao Jiao, "Don't worry, your wish will come true." After making their wishes, everyone cuts and eats the cake. Bai Wei looked at the big cake and said, "This cake is too big, we will definitely not be able to finish it." "It's okay, the cake has other uses besides eating it." Zhang Yu smiled a little evilly. She glanced at Zhang Qiang who was eating cake, and suddenly slapped the cake in her hand onto her face. "Zhang Yu, you are looking for death." Zhang Qiang wiped the cake on his face and angrily threw the cake at Zhang Yu. However, Zhang Yu was well prepared and dodged directly. So, a cake war broke out. First Zhang Yu and Zhang Qiang fought, then Lu Li and Shen Man also joined the battle, and then Bai Wei was forced to fight after being attacked. Seeing that the situation was not good, Li Jie took Xiao Jiao's hand and retreated into the bedroom, deciding to hide. But before the two of them could retreat to the bedroom door, they were discovered. Seeing that they were about to escape, Zhang Yu, Lu Li and Shen Man began to besiege them. In terms of combat effectiveness, it would be easy for Li Jie to pick the three girls by himself. But for girls, he was too embarrassed to fight back, let alone strike hard. Plus, he had to protect Xiao Jiao, so he got cake smashed all over him. Fortunately, Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang came to help and they were able to escape the siege. 6 girls were divided into 2 groups, and the fight was very lively. Li Jie became Xiao Jiao's shield. She hid behind him and was very arrogant. Anyway, she was the only one who hit others with the cake. Others couldn't hit her, but they all hit Li Jie. The cake war is over and the living room is in a mess with cakes everywhere. The 6 girls started cleaning the battlefield again. After cleaning, it was almost 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Bai Wei said, "Li Jie, Xiao Jiao, it's getting late, let's go back first." "I won't delay your world together," Zhang Qiang and the others also said. "I'll drive you back," Li Jie said to Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang. "No, it's not far. We can just walk back." "Yes, I'll just walk back." Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang declined politely. But Li Jie insisted on sending it off. "I'd better drive you there." Li Jie and the 5 girls went downstairs and came to the car. He asked Bai Wei, who was the tallest, no, the tallest, to sit in the passenger seat. Zhang Qiang, Zhang Yu and the other 4 girls crowded in the back row. After driving into the school, we soon arrived at the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang got out of the car. "Li Jie, please," several girls were about to enter the building. "Wait a minute," Li Jie called them again. "Take these snacks," he said, opening the trunk and taking out 2 large plastic bags of snacks. "Thank you, Li Jie." Zhang Yu and Lu Li took the snacks with smiles. Bai Wei and Zhang Qiang were a little embarrassed. "Li Jie, don't always give us snacks. We haven't eaten what you gave us last time." "It's okay, keep it and eat it slowly," Li Jie said with a smile. Seeing the 5 girls walking into the dormitory, Li Jie showed a faint smile. When people are unsure about what to pay attention to, they will subconsciously seek the opinions of those around them. So to deal with Xiao Jiao, the attitudes of these 5 girls are also crucial. Eaters are soft-mouthed, but takers are short-handed. He will be better to these 5 girls in the future. After returning to the rental, Li Jie found that Xiao Jiao was missing. "I searched the living room, bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, but couldn't find her anywhere. Did she go out?" Li Jie took out his cell phone and was about to call her when he was suddenly hugged from behind. He was startled for a moment, then smiled. "Jiao Bao." Xiao Jiao behind him said softly, "Husband, I'm so happy today." Li Jie turned around with a smile and found that Xiao Jiao was wearing a maid outfit and had a pair of ponytails. "Do you like it?" Seeing Li Zhe's expression of surprise, Xiao Qiao asked with a chuckle. Li Zhe gently climbed up to her slender waist. Didn't you say you wouldn't wear it? You have done so much for me today, of course I have to fulfill your wish. Xiao Qiao looked like I would repay a favor. Li Zhe couldn't help laughing, hugged her into his arms, and said softly, Qiao Bao, your wish will definitely come true. No matter what happens in the future, no matter how busy I am, I will celebrate your birthday with you like today. Yeah, Xiao Qiao said softly with emotion. The two held each other tenderly for a while, and Xiao Qiao murmured, Honey, I've thought about it. What do you call me? Li Zhe said with a slight smile. Xiao Qiao was stunned for a moment, then realized what he was doing, bit his lip, hesitated, and then shyly called out, Master. Scream again. Li Zhe's face was full of smiles. Xiao Qiao glanced at him angrily, Master. The smile on Li Zhe's face grew stronger, and he reached out to pick her up. Master, what do you want to do? Xiao Qiao looked timidly and looked at him pitifully. The president is so knowledgeable. I want you to sleep with me. Li Zhe hugged her and strode towards the bedroom. Of course the personal maid must attend the master's bed. No, master, please let me go. Xiao Qiao smiled delicately and started to struggle. This little drama queen. When he came to the bedroom, Li Zhe threw his little maid on the bed, and then he also jumped on her. It seems that tonight we are going to play a game where the personal maid is forced by her master. After the birthday party, more than a week passed quickly. During this period, Li Zhe returned to the dormitory quite frequently, which made His Higang and Yang Hao a little curious. Seeing that Li Zhe had surrounded the bed with a curtain and didn't know what he was doing inside, His Higang asked with a curious smile, Jizi, what are you doing that is shady, and you have to hide it so that no one can see it? Are you not watching a movie? Brother Zhe has such a beautiful girlfriend, why do we need to watch movies? Yang Hao said with a smile. His Higang glanced at him, Hazi, don't you also have a girlfriend, so why do you still look at her? Nana and I haven't progressed to that point yet, so I can only continue to dedicate myself to art, Yang Hao said, licking his face. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 199. What shady things is Li Zhe doing? He was just sitting in front of the computer typing, chatting with his little lover. Since Xiao Qiao has become clingy, Li Zhe has no chance to have private meetings with Zhou Ziyu on weekends. He had no choice but to date Zhou Ziyu online and make secret videos. You can't video chat in the rental house yet, because as long as Li Zhe stays in the rental house, Xiao Qiao will stay with him. Therefore, he could only go back to the dormitory frequently. After finishing chatting and closing the computer, Li Zhe opened the curtain and got down from the bed. Jizi, are you done? His Higang said with a smile. Li Zhe glanced at him and said funnily, I'm not single, so what? As a single man, His Higang suddenly felt critically injured. Li Zhe found a pair of sportswear and changed into them. Brother Zhe, are you going to exercise again? Yang Hao said with a smile. Right. Brother Zhe, how about I exercise with you tomorrow? Okay, why did you remember to exercise? Li Zhe was a little surprised. Nana said I was a little fat, so I thought about exercising and losing weight, Yang Hao explained. Let's talk about it later, Li Zhe said evasively. Hazi, you don't need to exercise if you want to lose weight, just eat less, His Higang complained. Brother Gang, Hazi, I'm going to make a short drama. Do you two want to make a guest appearance? Li Zhe thought for a while and asked. Short play? Jizi, you want to film? When His Higang and Yang Hao heard this, they were both stunned and surprised. I just recruit a few people from school to be amateur actors, use TV to shoot a commercial short drama that lasts about 20 episodes and lasts for 10 minutes each, and then uploads it to the internet to promote my game, Li Zhe explained. Zhao Jie's newly recruited assistant went to Shanghai for a trip. He originally wanted to find a student from the theater directing department to be the director. However, students from first-class art schools still have a sense of superiority. When they heard that it was an online short drama and it was shot on DV, most of them were not willing. The conditions put forward by some who were willing to come were a bit harsh. After Li Jie learned about it, he asked Zhao Jie to set his sights on a second or third-rate art school, so that he could find a junior student majoring in radio and television directing from the School of Film and Television of Shanghai Normal University. Hearing Li Jie say that it was just amateur shooting on DV, He's Higang and Yang Hao were not so surprised. "Brother Jie, is this just a guest appearance? Can you give me a role, not a main role, just a small role with a bit of drama?" Yang Hao said with a smile. "Okay, no problem," Li Jie nodded. "Acting is something that not everyone can do. It must at least be photogenic and not have stage fright. It doesn't matter if it's a small supporting role, that doesn't matter. If Yang Hao wants to act, give him a small role. He's Higang has no interest in acting." "Jizi, when will your web game be tested for internal testing? Then give me an invitation code and I'll play it too." "It's coming soon. It's only for a few days. I'll give you the invitation code then." After Li Jie finished speaking, he left the dormitory without further conversation. After leaving the dormitory, Li Jie started jogging, but instead of running towards the football field, he ran towards the north gate of the school. 7 or 8 minutes later, he left the school from due north and ran along the road for another 5 or 6 minutes when he saw a red car parked on the side of the road. Li Jie came to the car, stopped, walked to the passenger seat, opened the door and got in. "Honey, you're here." Seeing Li Jie getting in the car, Zhou Ziyu's charming face showed a look of joy. Li Jie hugged her gently, then smiled and said, "Let's go." "Yeah," Zhou Ziyu smiled, nodded lightly, and started the car. In order to have a chance to have a private meeting with his young lover, Li Jie had no choice but to sacrifice his evening exercise time. However, he didn't give up exercise completely, he just stopped running and boxing and switched to another healthy aerobic exercise. Fortunately, Xiao Qiao doesn't like exercise. No, he doesn't like to exercise, otherwise he wouldn't even be able to find this opportunity. More than 10 minutes later, the car stopped beside a remote farmland. Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu looked at each other. Seeing his little lover's charming appearance and affectionate eyes, Li Jie felt hot in his heart and reached out to hug her. "Time is limited, so hurry up." Zhou Ziyu wore a beautiful black dress, which was extremely sexy and beautiful. Li Jie kissed her eagerly. More than 40 minutes later, Li Jie hugged his little lover who was lying lazily in his arms, and kissed her lightly on the lips again. They say that no matter how beautiful a woman is, she will get bored after being together for a long time. But he didn't feel bored at all. On the contrary, he liked her more and more. In the past 7 days, Li Jie had 5 private meetings with Zhou Ziyu. And so far this week, it has been 1 day of decline. "Husband," Zhou Ziyu twisted her delicate body and put a pair of white and tender arms around Li Jie's neck. "Don't move," Li Jie hugged her tightly. The time for the private meeting between the two was limited. After all, he only had more than an hour to exercise every day. It would be a bit abnormal to delay it for too long. Zhou Ziyu couldn't help but chuckle when he saw this, his expression was indescribably charming and seductive. "Lily has been a little angry with me recently." "What's wrong?" "It's my fault that I don't take her with me every night when I practice driving or go for a ride." Li Jie couldn't help but smile. "We can't take her with us." However, after laughing, she became thoughtful. The two were affectionate for a while. Li Jie looked at the time and found that it was almost 10 o'clock, so he said to Zhou Ziyu, "Ziyu, let's go back." Zhou Ziyu was obviously a little reluctant to give up, but he still nodded obediently, got up from him, and sat back in the driver's seat. Li Jie glanced at her, smiled and said, "Okay, let's have a video chat when we get back to the dormitory." Yeah, after hearing what Li Jie said, Zhou suddenly became happy. When Li Jie saw this, he couldn't help but feel a little funny. Although his little lover is extremely smart and scheming, he is still a little woman at heart. This kind of tea, only a good sister is lovable. If she is really the kind of careerist who is calm and rational, uses whatever means necessary, and only regards men as a springboard for her career. No matter how much he liked her, he would never keep her by his side. By the way, put your clothes on when you get off the car, Li Jie reminded him again as he thought of something. He didn't expect her to be so bold. She was his special little lover, and he would be in big trouble if anyone else noticed her. Yeah, Zhou, who was focused on driving, chuckled and nodded. She knows how possessive her man can be. More than 20 minutes later, Zhou took the car keys and walked into the dormitory in a good mood. In the dormitory, Huo Lily, Cao Xiaoqian, Song Ziona, and the others were talking about something. "Tsuyu, are you back?" Huo Lily said with a smile when she saw Zhou walking in. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn." Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 200. Then, she said a little unhappy, "You go for a ride alone, and you don't take me with you." "Okay, let's wait until the weekend. I'll take you for a ride, okay," Zhou comforted her with a smile. "Really?" Huo Lily suddenly became happy when she heard it. "Tsuyu, you are so kind." After saying that, she noticed something and said strangely, "Ziu, why is your skirt a little wrinkled?" "Zhou, why is the skirt wrinkled?" Of course it was rubbed by Li Jie. In order to prevent her clothes from getting wrinkled, Zhou takes the initiative to take off her coat first every time. But tonight Li Jie was a little impatient and didn't give her a chance to take off her skirt. "Maybe it was wrinkled in the box. I didn't pay attention when I was wearing it. But the back of your skirt is still a little dirty. Is there something dirty on it?" "Zhou, maybe." She changed the subject and said, "Lily, what are you talking about?" When Huo Lily heard this, her attention was diverted and she said, "We are talking about whether we want to interview game publicists and promoters. Li Jie's game company isn't looking for game publicists and promoters. They say you can make money just by playing games. I'm thinking of giving it a try. If I'm accepted, I won't get 300 yuan a month for free." I said I would go with Ziona and Xiaoqian, but neither of them wanted to go. It's not written on the recruitment poster that those with good looks will be given priority. To put it bluntly, they are recruiting beauties. I'm not a beauty, so I won't be able to get selected, Cao Xiaoqian said. "Me too, so I won't go either." After Song Ziona finished speaking, she glanced at Huo Lily and said, "Lily, you do have a chance." Although Huo Lily's skin is a bit dark, she is petite, lively, and loving, and can be regarded as a little beauty. In dormitory 408, apart from Zhou and Tan Hui, she is the most beautiful. "Tsuyu, why don't you come with me?" Huo Lily said to Zhou. "With your conditions, you will definitely be selected. If you fail, the judges and Li Jie will be blinded." Zhou smiled slightly and shook his head, "I'm not going either." Song Ziona smiled and said, "Tsuyu's boyfriend is so rich, there is no need to work part-time." Cao Xiaoqian said with a sigh, "In just a few months, Li Jie's game company is about to produce the game. If the game is really successful, then he will be really great. Li Jie is also very good now. He earns 70,000 to 80,000 yuan a month from writing books, nearly 1 million a year. Even if the game fails and the company goes bankrupt, it is not a big deal to him," Song Ziona said. At this time, Lin Jing's girlfriend Chen Wenjing came back with a wash basin. Huo Lily asked her again, "Wenjing, will you go to the game promotion and promoter interview the day after tomorrow?" "I don't play games either, so I won't go." Chen Wenjing shook her head. "Then I'll go alone," Huo Lily said disappointedly. "Lily, I'll go the day after tomorrow too." Tan Hui, who had been silent at the desk, suddenly said. Cao Xiaoqian and Song Xiona were stunned for a moment when they heard this. None of them expected that Tan Hui would go to the interview. The whole school knew about her and Li Zhe's affairs. Wouldn't it be embarrassing to work part-time under Li Zhe again? Huo Lily was very happy and said with a smile, "Zia, I will go to the interview together the day after tomorrow." Zhou glanced at Tan Hui, a little surprised that she hadn't given up yet. But yes, her temperament, soft on the outside and strong on the inside, will not give in easily. Li Zhe has become so good now that she will definitely not be willing to miss out. Especially since she had the chance to have it. It's just that if we had known about today, why bother in the beginning? Zhou shook his head inwardly. It's really a pity that if she had a chance with Tan Hui, Li Zhe would be hers alone. It was around 8 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd, half an hour before the recruitment interview. There were girls waiting for the interview outside the activity room on the first floor of the gymnasium. After Li Zhe saw it, he asked his Hegang and Yang Hao to get some chairs for the girls who came for the interview to sit down, and then asked Xiao Qiao and Lu Kaiyu to give them mineral water. Today, in addition to his Hegang and Yang Hao, Xiao Qiao also came with Li Zhe, and Lu Kaiyu, a part-time employee of the company, also came to help. There were other boys and girls in the class who offered to help, such as Cheng Xiang and Chen Mengting, but Li Zhe politely declined. At 8:45, after Li Zhe and Zhao Jie discussed it, they announced an early interview. It's just part-time recruitment, not full-time recruitment, so there's no need to strictly follow the interview time. In order to make this recruitment appear more formal, Li Zhe not only invited Zhao Jie, but also the company's two game planners Yao Ziliang and Zhuang Jian, as well as Shen Yu, the deputy director of the Ministry of Literature and Art. In this way, there will be a total of 5 interview judges. However, it was Li Zhe who made the final decision. After the interview started, the first girl to be interviewed soon walked into the event. Li Zhe looked at the girl and found that she was pretty and fair-looking. She could only be said to be relatively average-looking, but not very beautiful. So I simply asked a few questions and let the other person leave. Then, the second girl interviewing came in. Outside the activity room, his Hegang and Yang Hao were busy getting chairs and giving out mineral water to the girls who came for interviews from time to time. Their attitude was very polite. Not long after the interview started, more than 100 girls came, most of them from our school, and a small number from the Aviation Academy. These girls are not bad looking and quite a few are pretty, and there are 2 or 3 that are particularly beautiful. His Hegang and Yang Hao looked a little dazzled, their eyes a little straight. Yang Hao suddenly said, "Brother Gang, isn't that Huo Menjian?" His Hegang followed Yang Hao's gaze and found that it was true. Huo Menjian was dressed very beautifully today, wearing a white chiffon top, a light blue mesh skirt, and a camel yellow round hat on her smooth hair. Her tall figure, delicate and quiet temperament were reflected vividly. Coupled with a little light makeup, she was really a pretty beauty. His Hegang couldn't help but be stunned. At the social gathering last year, Huo Menjian didn't dress up much. She could only be said to be pretty. But now that she is dressed up, her appearance suddenly rises to a higher level. She is considered a relatively beautiful beauty. Especially her temperament is outstanding, which cannot be compared to Zhang Yu. Thinking of last year, when Li Zhe persuaded him to chase Huo Menjian, but he still didn't agree and ran to chase Zhang Yu, his Hegang really regretted it at this moment. His Hegang looked at Huo Menjian, hesitated again, and walked over. "Menjian, we meet again," he greeted Huo Menjian warmly. Huo Menjian saw him and nodded slightly. Well, we meet again. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 201. Seeing that Huo Menjian still remembered him, He Zhigang felt happy and said excitedly, Menjian, are you coming for an interview too? Yeah, Huo Menjian said softly. As a straight man, after saying hello, He Zhigang didn't know what to talk about. But he was a little unwilling to leave like this. So, He Zhigang stood in front of Huo Menjian. Not far away, Yang Hao looked at it and shook his head. After interviewing more than a dozen girls, Shen Xian walked in. Hello everyone, I am Shen Xinyi from the junior college class majoring in tourism management in 2007. Shen Xian was wearing a light blue t-shirt and a pair of white casual pants. Her hair was shawl length and she had no makeup, or only a little bit of makeup. The dress is very ordinary, but she looks particularly pure and well behaved. As soon as she walked in, Zhao Jia and the others felt their eyes light up. They felt that this girl was so pure and well behaved, making people want to take care of her as soon as they saw her. This Shen Guiguai is very good today. Li Jia looked at Shen Xinyi and couldn't help but smile in his heart. Xiao Jiao, who was sitting by the side wall, recognized Shen Xinyi at a glance. She took another look at Li Jia's expression and suddenly became alert. She had met Shen Xinyi just last year when she was with Li Jia. At that time, she vaguely felt that Li Jia's attitude towards this girl was a bit subtle. After fully understanding Li Jia's preferences, she realized that this girl was his favorite type. Why is there another, love rival? Xiao Jiao muttered something silently in her heart, feeling extremely bored. After simply asking Shen Xian a few questions, Zhao Jia and the others nodded. Shen Yu, the deputy director of the Ministry of Literature and Art, smiled and asked her if she wanted to join the Ministry of Literature and Art. Li Jia found that Shen Yu was a bit of a beauty control. Whenever she saw a pretty girl, she would invite them to join the art club. Zhao Jia glanced sideways at Li Jia and saw that he nodded slightly, so he smiled and said to Shen Xinyi, classmate Xinyi, please leave a phone number. What she means is, you are admitted. After interviewing 6 or 7 more girls, Bai Wei walked in. Not surprisingly, she is over 1.7 meters tall, has a tall and graceful figure, and has a beautiful face. Zhao Jia and the others unanimously recognized her and was successfully admitted. When he saw Huo Menjian walking in, Li Jia couldn't help but be stunned. Girls are completely different whether they are dressed up or not. Before, Huo Menjian's appearance was only 7 points. Now after dressing up seriously, her appearance is above 8 points. She has surpassed Tan Hui and is only slightly worse than Xiao Jiao. In the eyes of some people, they may even prefer a type like Huo Menjian. After all, a girl who is gentle, delicate, quiet, and introverted seems to be suitable for life at first glance. If she goes on a blind date, she will definitely be chaste. To be honest, when a girl's appearance reaches a certain level, it's hard to tell them apart. At this time, judging who is more beautiful depends more on temperament and aesthetics. Even if she is as beautiful as Zhou Ziyu, if she meets someone who doesn't like her, they may think that she is not as beautiful as Huo Menjian. Huo Menjian speaks very much like Zhou Ziyu, with a soft voice and a slower speaking speed. After she finished introducing herself, Li Jia asked her another casual question and asked her to leave her phone number. If Huo Menjian's appearance level is not chosen, there will really be few people chosen. After Huo Menjian left, Li Jia's cell phone vibrated on the table. He picked it up and looked at it, and found that it was a text message from Yang Hao, Brother Jia, Tan Hui is here. Li Jia was quite surprised. He really didn't expect Tan Hui to come for the interview. Putting down his phone, he couldn't help but hesitate. Tan Hui was here, should he admit her? After interviewing more than a dozen girls one after another, a cute girl with dark skin and petite figure walked in. Huo Lily. Before the girl could introduce herself, Li Jie recognized her. He still had some impression of this girl. On the day he won the lottery, when he met Tan Hui by chance at the bus stop, this girl named Huo Lily was there. Then at the social gathering, she also went with Zhou Ziyu. And after he and Zhou Ziyu got together, Zhou Ziyu often mentioned her, saying that they had the best relationship in the dormitory. It can be seen that Huo Lily is very lively and outgoing. She is also very generous when introducing herself and has no stage fright at all. When the interview was over, Li Jie also asked her to leave a phone number. Huo Lily's appearance is not particularly outstanding, but she can be used as an alternative. As soon as Huo Lily left, Lu Kaiu led Tan Hui in, and she gave Li Jie a meaningful look. As if to say, unexpected or not, what will you do this time? Hello everyone, I am Tan Hui, a grade 07 English major. Tan Hui wore a blue plaid shirt on the upper body, a white vest underneath, a pair of jeans on the lower body, a ponytail, and a little light makeup, dressing up like a girl next door. Li Jie looked at Tan Hui's outfit and felt it was very familiar. Then he remembered that she dressed like this in high school. She would dress like this, probably just to show him. After thinking about it, Li Jie shook his head in his heart. Has Tan Hui fallen in love with him? No, she is just unwilling. After Tan Hui introduced herself, Zhao Jia asked her a few questions and showed a satisfied look. Yao Ziliang and Zhuang Jiang also nodded, obviously thinking that Tan Hui's appearance was good enough. Indeed, Tan Hui is at the top of the class, one of the most beautiful girls in 100. Zhao Jia turned his head and looked at Li Jie with an inquiring look in his eyes. Li Jie thought for a while and nodded. There is no need to interfere in recruitment based on your own likes and dislikes. If you are told to select based on appearance, then select based on appearance. Since Tan Hui met the standards and passed the selection, she passed. Seeing Li Jie nod, Zhao Jia turned around and said with a smile, Tan Hui, can you leave your phone number? Tan Hui immediately understood that she had passed, and couldn't help but smile on her face. Xiao Jiao, who was sitting next to him, was really furious when he saw that Tan Hui also passed. First it was Lu Kaiu, then Shen Xinyi, and now Tan Hui is here again. She realized that this was not choosing a game promoter, but basically choosing a love rival for her. Xiao Jiao decided not to let Li Jie go to bed tonight. No, let him go to bed. She was afraid that he would crawl into another girl's bed. Another comfort for Xiao Jiao is that Bai Wei was also selected. She finally has a person of her own, the internal response. After Tan Hui left, Zhao Jia smiled and said, what a coincidence, Tan Hui is also from Haihe province, and she is from the same hometown as Mr. Li. Li Jie smiled and said, she is my high school classmate. Zhao Jia. With how high her emotional intelligence was, she immediately understood that there should be a story between the two of them. Zhao Jia tentatively said, then. Since she meets the standards and passed, she should be admitted if she should, Li Jie said nonchalantly. The interview lasted for more than 2 hours, and by around 11 noon, there were not many people available for the interview.